Thank you. It is such a joy to be here. 34 years ago, I was right where you're at right this moment. I was filled with gratitude and with knowledge and maybe a little anxiety, and a lot of anxiety about what the future might bring. And like you, I worked very hard during my 4 years at Spelman College. But Spelman taught me many things. It's taught me how to put my head down and how to get the work done. But commencement is a day of celebration. It's a day when you don't put your heads down, we lift them up. And I want to share with you what I see from where I am standing. I see all these beautiful brown faces in flowing caps and gowns. And behind you, I see a village. And I see a village that was spread out across the world, but has joined together for this momentous day. I see the proud faces of parents and grandparents, of guardians and aunties and uncles and cousins and friends, the people we call family. All these people who loved you, supported you, persevered, sacrificed, and prayed for you each and every day. And it has always taken a village to graduate one of our own, and this too is your day. And it looks really good from where I'm standing. This is where we all need to be today. And I want to thank President Campbell for her leadership and for that warm introduction that she gave me. Dr. Campbell, you're a source of such inspiration for our entire Spelman family. And so a quick story here. So when Dr. Campbell called me a few months ago, I secretly hoped she would ask me to speak this year. And she began her call. She said, "Roz," and she has this real stern voice, as you can tell, "I want this year's speaker to be profound, a woman of character and culture, a talented Black woman who galvanizes many, someone who personifies the values of leadership and service that are hallmarks of our college." And I kind of smiled as she was talking, and I thought, here it comes, my invitation. And then she says, "But Roz, Beyonce just called and she said she couldn't do it. So I'm calling you." So as chair of the Board of Trustees, I stepped up, and as your number 2 choice for graduation speaker this year, let me first say I am honored to be here, even though. But let us gather. So families, fellow trustees, and distinguished guests, faculty and staff, ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha, my friends, alumni, and especially my childhood friends. I have 2 friends here from kindergarten, Beth and Lisa, my college roommate, Margarita, my loving sister, Sandra Taylor, who came in from Detroit, my husband, John Brewer, of almost 30 years, Morehouse College, class of '84. They're here to support me, but they're here to support you too. So join me, everyone, in congratulating Spelman class of 2018. So Spelman women, you are today at an intersection between who you have been and who you must become. So who you have been and who you must become. Full of hope and knowledge, staring down the face of a daunting challenge. Stronger than you've ever been, and also learning with every breath. The generation of Spelman women who came before me were all first of a kinds. The first Black woman to, the first Black leader to, the first Black judge to, the first Black surgeon to, a real generation of waymakers. And my generation is one that you might call Generation P, and that P is for perseverance. We've had the job of keeping the fires that our grandmothers and our mothers fought for, lived for, died for, alive. We remember the pain our mothers and grandmothers went through to earn their places in society. We remember their stories of sit-ins at lunch counters because they lived it. And when we hear fresh stories, these recent stories of essentially social injustice and legalized violence today, it hurts. It hurts twice as much. It hurts for the present and it hurts for the past. We've hugged and we've kissed those brave women who deserve so much more. They deserve more education when they couldn't get it. They deserve more respect and more opportunity to fulfill their own ambitions. We soaked up their words, and Generation P, we soaked up their wisdom. And we do that to this day. Generation P, we carry the weight, the suffering, and the trauma of the generation of women who came before within us. And yet, it's not a burden that drags you down, it's just the opposite. It allows you to fly. And in the face of daunting odds, Spelman women persevere. While I may have made this all look so easy as you read my bio, many times I was actually handled the most undesirable assignments, the assignment everyone else didn't want, or the one that management knew I would absolutely fail at. And most times, I was counted out. I was counted out even before I was considered in. But my Spelman lessons kicked in for me. I'd always whisper to myself, just keep your head down and do the work and deliver the number and deliver the result. Stay on the plan. And sometimes I'd even swallow my commentary, and that was hard. But I've never, ever held myself back. And yet, no matter how high we fly, we still hit the glass dome constructed by our biased culture. And sadly, I'm still just one of a handful of Black female executives in corporate America, and it's now 2018. We see each other, we embrace, or sometimes we run and hug each other, but we are Black women, still in a white male world. The women of Generation P have always had to show exceptional performance while enduring suboptimal circumstances. We broke into the top ranks while enduring the indignities of being ourselves. And when you're a Black woman, you get mistaken a lot. You get mistaken as someone who could actually not have that top job. Sometimes you're mistaken for kitchen help. Sometimes people assume you're in the wrong place. And all I can think in the back of my head is, no, you're in the wrong place. The wrong place, that sunken place, is everywhere, deep inside our culture. If there's a place where bias doesn't exist, I have not found it. I recall shortly after I was named CEO of Sam's Club, I was invited to an exclusive CEO roundtable in New York City. Only 25 invited guests, and that's when you get that invitation and it says non-transferable. And so during the reception, I met a fellow CEO, and I introduced myself, just like the boys club usually does, Ros Brewer, Sam's Club. After exchanging pleasantries back and forth, he asked, what do I do at Sam's Club? And I thought to myself, what'd the invitation say? But anyway, he said to me, do you lead marketing? So I was still puzzled. I said, no, that's part of my organization. And then he said, oh, merchandising. I said, At this point, I was truly puzzled. So after I gave him the side eye, we approached the private room. And I ascended to the podium as the keynote for the day. And I enjoyed the look on his face when my bio was read. It was a good day. And you know, just a few years ago, I was interviewed on CNN. and I made an observation that ignited nothing short of a hailstorm. I received death threats. My children's lives were threatened. My resignation was called for by people that didn't even know me. And here's what I said that triggered such strong emotions, and I said this really simple line: diversity makes good business sense. The reaction that everybody else had, it really shook me, because to me, that was pretty unremarkable. And it was a true statement. Study after study has really proven that diversity is connected to improved profitability, better engagement, and working conditions for all. And yet, coming from one of the very few Black women in the C-suite ranks, my comment started a hailstorm. The company that I work for supported me, and the hailstorm finally blew over. But it was a nasty, nasty reminder that every day people of color face systemic racism, so blatant, so emboldened, and yet so normalized. So, if my generation is Generation P for perseverance, then it follows that you are Generation Q, which could stand for many things. It could stand for Queens, which you are, or Quakes, which I hope you start. But of all the Q words, I would hope that you become Generation Quest. I hope you continue to seek out education and opportunity and influence and power and truth, and that would be a glorious quest. Generation Quest, so what strikes me most today in the world in which you are coming of age, and I'm just going to put it all out there because it's very few times where I get to bring my head and heart in the same place every day. We have come to a place in this America where so much of our politics and media is a source of entertainment. And when you view the world through the lens of entertainment, it is hard to sort out what is really important and the serious issues involved with those issues, what moves the needle and what truly makes a difference. And I challenge each and every one of you of Generation Quest to look through a different lens, proactively and often. I suspect that you will gain knowledge, hopefully the unfiltered kind, honest and pure in its form, and that is true power. In the past couple of years, especially, we've seen an alarming rise in unashamed bigotry, in racism, authoritarian ideals, xenophobia, and misogyny. These are trying times, absolutely. But what gives me hope is you. The very graduates sitting before me, the young activists who have taken to the street and harnessed technology to demand justice in unprecedented numbers. Protesting is no longer just a weekend activity, and I can guarantee you my recently graduated son calls his congressional representatives more than he calls me. Students, especially those at HBCUs, are often by necessity at the forefront of advocating for social change, whether it be across race, across gender, class, or sexuality. For decades, it's been students who drive historic change in our society. It's almost as if you're programmed to speak out. And I think that is such a beautiful thing. I didn't feel that way when I was here 30 years ago. During your time at Spelman, you spoke out about food insecurity, campus sexual assault, safety for our LGBTQIA students, and worked with our President Campbell to begin making the necessary changes for a more just and equitable community. The world took note of Spelman College. You need to give yourself a round of applause because you did that. This class includes a student who challenged the status quo here at Spelman, and I'm pleased the college stood by him. It's imperative we accept and support good people for who they are. The world needs people who are alive with hope and have the strength to fight for the underrepresented and the disenfranchised. And when she sees injustice in this world, the Spelman woman is not the kind to sit back and hope someone else will deal with it. We fight. We fight on and we fight hard. We take it head on each and every day. Movements and hashtag campaigns like hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag Me Too, hashtag Love Wins, hashtag Trans Equality, and hashtag Never Again give ordinary citizens the ability to make their disapproval heard, share their stories, show solidarity to bring about transformative social change. But you know, it's not just enough to tweet. Change requires action. A record number of women are currently running for office at both federal and state level. Among them is Spelman grad Stacey Abrams. She's a powerhouse lawyer, a businesswoman, an author, and former House Minority Leader for the Georgia General Assembly, the first woman to hold that position, I should say, and she's running right here for the governor of Georgia. Yay. If elected, Stacey will be the first Black woman in the history of America to lead a state right from Spelman College. You gotta love that. So indeed, we are living in a new golden age of American activism. So you can only imagine my horror when news carried across the web that in one of our stores, 2 Black men had come in to meet a friend. The store manager called the police within minutes to remove them. These 2 men were arrested. They could have been harmed. They actually could have been killed. Over the past few weeks, I've looked closely into the facts of actually what happened. I've met with Dante and Rashawn, the 2 businessmen. I've met with the former store manager. All of them, actually, have had their lives deeply impacted by what happened in that Philadelphia Starbucks. And as a Black woman, as a mother of a 23-year-old Black male myself, a girl from Detroit who challenges racism every day because she's never had a choice, and as a human being, it infuriates me to see acts of hate, acts of entitlement, acts of privilege repeating over and over and over and over and over again in this country. I was mad. I was mad to have fought so hard for so long, mad to have to defend my company that I deeply admire, and I had to defend it to the African American community that I profoundly love. The situation that unfolded resulted in treating 2 Black men in a way that no Black mother can accept, no Black leader can accept, and no Spelman woman would never accept. So here's the lesson, Generation Quest. When mistakes are made, and they will be made, how you react will determine who you are. And regardless if there's a company behind you or if you're standing alone, these mistakes fall on your shoulders. And you must act as you have been taught at Spelman College. Stand up, grab the wheel, and take charge. Do not compromise who you are. Never. The incident in Philadelphia, it shined a light on a blind spot for us, and we saw it for what it was, a terrible decision in the words of our Starbucks founder, Howard Schultz. But too often, people take responsibility and then do nothing. But not me, and not under my watch. And as it's been reported, we're closing 8,000 stores next week for racial bias training. We brought in Brian Stevenson of EJI, Sherilyn Ifield, president of the NAACP, and Heather McGee of DEMOS, and we're going to make a difference. We designed exclusive curriculum and will train more than 175,000 employees, and our hope is that this will make a difference beyond our stores. Anyone who crosses the threshold of a Starbucks cafe is a customer. I am proud to say that the reports of the settlement with the men by Starbucks are true, as well as the City of Philadelphia's new high school program for entrepreneurs influenced by the two young men. There's more goodwill that will come from this incident. That was a tough 30 days. I sat with a lot of sadness. And in tough moments and at tough times of major challenge, I turned to reading poetry for solace. And verse helps. So when Maya Angelou says, one isn't necessarily born with courage, but one is born with potential. Without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue without consistency. We can't be kind, we can't be true, merciful, generous, or honest. And to Maya, I say, that's right. And when James Baldwin says the world is before you, and you need not take it or leave it as it is, make it different than when you came in, I say, that is my guiding compass. And when Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high, I say, graduates, let's do that together. I've spent the past several months thinking about what sort of challenge do I dare my Spelman sisters upon leaving these halls, and this is it. Use your voice. Continue to drive social change. Get yourself into situations where you can encourage governments to stop spreading hatred and fear and instead spread inclusiveness and welcome. Use your STEM education to organize. You have a theater arts degree? Use your comedic or your dramatic skills to illustrate injustice and provoke conversation from the stage. Sometimes we use our voices by putting our heads down and just doing the work. I recall a time in my life when that's what I did, but never again. Sometimes we use our voices to say, we made a mistake and we're gonna correct it. And sometimes we use our voices by saying, we belong here. Get used to us. You know, progress doesn't just happen. You have to stay deep in the movement. You have to be your own Shuri and create a Wakanda right here, right now. I dare you. I want you to have fun. I want you to laugh. I want you to live a full life. So to the class of 2018, I say again, congratulations, and I'm so very proud of you. Thank you.